Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out this episode of Really Dicey. I'm Manny,
And I'm RJ, the inimitable.
and today we're going to share 5 things we really loved about 7th Sea sourcebook, The Crescent Empire. The Crescent Empire is a sourcebook part of the 7th Sea second edition role-playing books line, currently published by Chaosium. It's a little over 200 pages. The setting takes place in the 5 kingdoms of the Crescent Empire between Dia and Cathay. The people of this region describe their empire as 5 fingers, 1 fist. And although they are united against outside forces and invasions from other countries, each of those fingers are very different from one another. Everything in this book is based and inspired by the history, culture, and mythology of the Middle East, and sprinkles of Jewish myths. In a nutshell, if you are familiar with classic tales of Aladdin, Sinbad the Sailor, 1001 Nights, or a fan of current novels like Drones of the Crescent Moon by Saladin Ahmed, this is the book you should be reading. So here are our top 5. Number 1, New Sorceries. There are a lot of great new options for players, including sorceries like The Art of the Second Prophet, where you gain the ability to create miracles similar to druids in Dungeons & Dragons. Plus, different paths are available where you can learn to do things like deflect magic, have empathic abilities, or have healing or protection magic.
The assassins of the nation of Asher have their own sorcery, Nawaru, that claims to control light and is powered by their own deaths. For example, they might create illusions, evade attacks as if they were not there, or plunge a room into darkness.
Chosen magic is the power of promises to help others in return for the power to accomplish them. These powers include variations of superhuman strength, endurance, senses, knowledge, and more. Because these promises you make in order to activate these magics must be kept. This involves very creative role playing and helps prevent magical misuse.
But the sorcery I really enjoy in this book is Kaheshahura, or On the Wings of Angels, which channels the spirit of one of the 12 angels to perform supernatural feats. The practitioner of this art also manifests wings in the form of their chosen angel, each with its unique twists, such as followers of the Angel of Vengeance that manifest wings of bone. In all, there are 5 new sorceries in this book, which is a lot for any playgroup. Religions. There are 14 pages on religion in the Crescent Empire book, and more scattered throughout the nations and sorceries sections. Each religion is described in detail, including its origins, its tenets, and how it fits into the societies of the Crescent Empire. There's Aldin, built on the first and second prophets' teachings, and the Anashid branch of Aldin. Then there's Ahurajana, the ancestral religion of the 8th Sea, centered on 12 angels. Next, there's Orthodoxy, centered on the worship of Aloha, from which the Vatican Church diverged when accepting the third prophet. And there are 4 sects of Orthodoxy: Elohim, Abnegant, Enclavist, and Usuran Orthodox. And then finally, there's Yashidi, which is centered on the land of Sarmian, also worships Aloha, reveres the covenant of the longest night, and grieves the loss of its high temple at the hands of the Numenari. Keep in mind that these religions are overtly inspired by real-world religions and their sects. Because religion is a core part of the identity of almost every person in the Crescent Empire, this is the primary way to add the cultural flavor of this setting, and I think it's fantastic. I'm also really glad that we get details on the 3 prophets, on what their teachings were, and how the Vatican Church differs from Aldin and other religions. These details were missing from the Nations of Thea books, although there are mentions in those books of the 3 prophets, and that there was some difference between them that was fairly important but not explained.
Our next point is something that I've been wanting most systems to have. There are now rules for mass combat. Leaders or generals can spend raises to implement a strategy with their armies to perform a series of options like flanking, clashing, retreat, use ranged weapons, and more. There are some minor rules about what your hero can do as a member of this military unit. This is set up like a chess game between the game master and the opponent, whether they are players or NPCs, but heroes venturing as part of this unit can act solo during warfare, but you better have enough hero points.
There are also some rules for morale, which are simple enough to not slow things down. And there's also an underdog bonus rule, so that matchups between overwhelmingly large armies and smaller ones are not simple walkovers. And it keeps things exciting and possible. Finally, there are special bonuses for different unit types, such as cavalry, duelists, medics, or Ashur assassins. Mass combat rules aren't always necessary or appropriate in heroic narrative role playing games, but sometimes it would really help to have something to use. In those cases, these rules are very useful, while recognizing that the heroes themselves are independently acting agents that can work with or separately from military units. Poetry duels. Another unique part of this book is the concept of poetry duels, or kavita, that are a popular way of resolving honor disputes in the Crescent Empire. It is the Crescent Empire's form of rap battles. The stakes are agreed upon beforehand and can be just as devastating as a duel of swords. In mechanical terms, heroes wager hero points against danger points, and heroes that win the duel can use those points to immediately reduce a villain's influence, which is a great way of whittling down a villain to a more manageable level, or they can just take the hero points to use later. Just like dueling styles, there are also kavita styles that grant style bonuses for certain parts of the duel, such as the Chamsin style that combines elegant yet brutal insults that come early, which grant the practitioner one bonus die in the first part of the three-part duel. What I like about this is that it's a new structured way of playing verbal exchanges, and it gives players the opportunity to play characters whose sharp tongues are just as effective and interesting as their sharp swords.
Last but not least, the lore in this book is fantastic. Elizabeth of Angry Hamster Publishing was the lead developer of this source book, and herself and her team of writers made these 150 pages of history, geography, architecture, culture, and more come alive. Each nation is different enough to give something unique to players. If you love the exploration aspect from the Mummy movies, like with Brendan Fraser, and you love the idea of monsters and lost treasure, the deserts that belong to the Eighth Sea will call to you.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore around angels and jinn and devils. I love the hierarchy of these spirits that's provided in this book because that fuels a lot of story ideas that fit really well in this setting. I also love the idea that in the vast desert of the Eighth Sea, there is a place called the Black Desert, surrounded by the Glass Wilderness, where some apocalyptic event utterly destroyed a city. And there are very interesting adventure hooks that naturally flow from this place.
In conclusion, would I buy this source book? A strong yes. I have enjoyed reading Seven Seas' other source books, but this book kept my attention from beginning to end. Every nuance of life in the Crescent Empire, from drinking coffee to dance to belief, was explained wonderfully. I strongly feel that this book could be a great introduction for those that want to explore the different mythologies of the Middle East and its neighbors. If you also include the amount of new sorceries and other player options, plus the rules of mass combat, this book is a must-have for 7th Sea fans.
Yeah, I think this is one of the stronger settings for 7th Sea. The nations are easily distinguished, and there are several political angles to play from. The Crescent Empire is steeped in mysticism and religion, which begs for sorcery-driven stories. You do have to read a bit to understand how all the nations and religions interact with each other, but then you've got a very rich setting to play in. We didn't spoil any of the adventure hooks, but there are plenty of very interesting locations and characters in this setting as well. This is definitely in my top 3 7th Sea setting books.
I hope you enjoyed this review. Let us know if there's anything about the 7th Sea role-playing game you would like us to talk about or review. Let us know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Please be safe out there and have a great day.